In this video, we are going to dive in deeper and look at the structure of bone more on a microscopic level. So we'll look at bone cells, the anatomy of long bones and flat bones, and get into the difference between compact and spongy bone. All right, bone cells, so there are four primary types of bone cells. One type is the osteocyte. So the osteocyte is the primary cell of mature bone. This is going to be the most common. It helps to maintain bone tissue and is going to be located within the lacuna that we see here in a moment. The second type of bone cell is the osteoblast. These are precursors to the osteocytes. They are responsible for making new bone, and they're found in growing bone. Will help make more bone by secreting calcium salts and collagen. Osteogenic cell is a type of stem cell. It's what develops into the osteoblast. It's found deep in the layers of the periosteum and the bone marrow. And then the last type of bone tissue are the osteoclasts. These are responsible for the breakdown of bone. They're derived from monocytes and macrophages. You find them at the bone surfaces or where bone is unneeded or nervous. So one thing to remember about osteoblast, so osteoblasts begin with the letter, or have the letter B in them. So osteoblast build bone, while osteoclast break down bone. So that's one letter difference, but opposite functions related to those bone structures. All right, if we look at the structure of the bone more at the gross level, we can see that a long bone can be divided up into the middle part and the end parts. So the middle part is what is known as the diaphysis. The ends of the bone are going to be known as the epiphysis. So we have the proximal epiphysis that's going to be closer to the trunk of the body, and the distal epiphysis that is going to be closer to or further away from the trunk of the body, more distal. The bone is going to, the diaphysis is largely going to be a hollow shaft with bone marrow in the middle of it, with compact bone surrounding it. There's also compact bone around the in the epiphysis, but that instead of being hollow, it's going to be comprised of spongy bone. So we'll take a look at those structures in more detail. Okay, so coming up closer, looking at the epiphysis, we can see that there is going to be cartilage covering the articulation surface, so that's the articular cartilage. You'll see that there's a little line here separating the epiphysis into two regions. That is what is known as the epiphyseal line. It's what is going to form the growth plate of the long bones. And then if we go down to the diaphysis, we can see that we have the hollow medullary cavity, which is going to be where you find the bone marrow. You have yellow bone marrow found here, while red bone marrow is going to be found more in the spongy bone. You have arteries and veins that serve them, so remember that bone is vascular and will be served by arteries. The inside of the bone is going to be covered with the endosteum, so that lines the medullary cavity. And then surrounding the outside of the bone, you have the periosteum. All right, so let's take a look at a flat bone. So a flat bone is going to consist of spongy bone in the middle, sandwiched between two layers of compact bone. It's also going to have the periosteum surrounding the outside. Okay, if we take a look more closely at the microscopic anatomy of the compact and spongy bone, you can see that there's an organizational pattern to it. Compact bone is going to consist of repeating tightly packed cylindrical structures that are known as osteons. So that's what's over here in this diagram in this micrograph, and in this diagram over here, you can see an osteon. So compact bone is going to be here on the inside, and then it's going to transition into the spongy bone out on the, or more deep in the structure. As I mentioned, the osteons are the cylindrical units found as the structural organization of compact bone. They are going to be made up of structures known as lamellae, and there's really three different types of lamellae. So you have circumferential lamellae. These are going to be found around the circumference of the bone. So coming here, notice that these are going to be surrounding the outside. They're going to be covered by the connective tissue of periosteum on the outside. The lamellae that really consist of the bone that's in between the osteon structure is known as the interstitial lamellae. And then the lamellae that are a part of the osteon surrounding it are your concentric lamellae. If we go deeper and look at the osteon structure itself, we can see that there are essentially holes that are perforating these places, fitting in between the lacunae. These are lamellae. These are the lacunae that are going to be housing the osteocytes. In the center of the osteon, you have what is known as the central canal. This is going to be serving the osteon with blood, lymph, and nerves. And then you will have a perforating canal that connects the different osteons together. Within the osteon, the lacunae are going to be connected via caniculi, so that the osteocytes that are present there have a way of receiving nutrients and communicating with one another. Now, if we take a closer look at spongy bone, we'll see that spongy bone is going to be not as dense as the compact bone, as the name might imply. It's going to be supported by structures known as trabeculae. The trabeculae are going to be found along stress points that help give the bone strength associated with it. You still have these lamellae that surround the bone with osteocytes present. You also have osteoclasts and osteoblasts that are going to be constantly rebuilding this bone and building it along its different stress points. Spongy bone, you may also hear as referred to as cancellous bone. All right, that does it for the structure of bone. In our next video, we'll look more at the physiology of bone and what happens during bone growth and remodeling.